It's about priorities. Will our next county attorney focus on solutions to address the causes of crime?
All right, and we are live. Welcome, family, to another show. Today we got a great show for you guys lined up today. I got Global Passport crew in the building, and we're going to be discussing Shabro's visit to the Middle East. We're going to be talking about North Africa. We're going to be talking about Jordan and some other countries within the Middle East. He's going to give us a lot of information, not only on, making money overseas, as far as overseas contracts for American guys. We're going to also talk about a little politics. We're not going to dive too deep into the politics of the Middle East, but just how to move around what they consider the Middle East, which would be North Africa and some parts of Jordan and all that good stuff, man. So this is a very good informational show. This brother has a lot of knowledge that will help you not only, moving around the Middle East, but also if you want to guys go over there and make some tax-free money as well. All right. So we're going to be right back. Welcome all you guys to the show. I see you guys already in the building, pulling up. Appreciate everybody coming through. We're going to be right back, bros.
As you can see, I'm repping that BMT. No matter where I go, no matter where I be. Rocking it like that, man. I love the fit of this shirt, bro.
Bro, look, I just happened to get off the elevator. Look at it. The BMT shirt on. We representing all the way in Thailand, man.
What's up, y'all? It's the Travel OG, and I gotta do my BMT commercial, man, for my BMT shirt, man. This shirt is so dope, man. It shows off your guns, fits your muscles, gives you room at the bottom for the belly, and then you repping the BMT brand, man. So make sure y'all pick up that BMT shirt because it's fire. It looks good. He got them in different colors, and I'm telling y'all, man, the fit, it ain't that cheap. It's a real quality shirt, man. I love it, BMT. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for blessing me with the shirt, and I'll see you on the other side. You dig?
Fellas, don't forget to check out the Black Man Travels merch store where you can purchase BMT t-shirts, tank tops, travel quote tees, and much more. All right, we back. Welcome, family. We here. I want to welcome to the show Global Passport crew in the building. What's going on today, bro?
What's going on, man?
Good. How's everything going with you, man?
It's going good. Just nursing a bad ankle. That's about it.
Hey, man, you gotta stay out of them basketball courts, my brother. We getting older, man. You over there trying to slam dunk like you in your 20s still, man.
I know.
So, man, we're here today. We're talking about the Middle East. Before we get into that, what countries have you been to thus far?
Okay, I was with the Utah National Guard. We got deployed in 2010, 2011. So I've been to Kuwait and Iraq. When I got out, I used my GI Bill and I went to get my second bachelor's degree in the humanities with a focus on Middle Eastern studies from Tel Aviv University. So I lived in Israel for 3 years. And during my stay, I briefly had overnight layovers in Jordan. So total 4. And plus I will be going to Jordan in 3 weeks to do some travel vlogging.
Okay, so what originally brought you out there was is that the military?
School,
okay.
Well, for Israel, it's school, but basically originally my first experience with the Middle East was combat.
Okay. And you said before offline, you were saying North Africa is technically considered to be the Middle East as well?
Yeah, the 4 countries I'm talking are Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and those 4. Those 4 those right on the top edge of the country. Those are considered the Middle East. It's called MENA. It's which stands for Middle East, North Africa. Okay,
and are those like how do I say this without getting too? I don't want to get too geopolitical because we got a lot of sensitive ears right now. Those considered to be Muslim countries, or how does that work?
It's Muslim, mostly they're Muslim countries, but you have other religions. Actually, when we look at Israel's another one. It's another country, but it's a Hebrew country. But you have Arabs. You have Christians and other religions living in those countries.
Okay. And do they have like native Black people or Afro people in these countries as well?
Yeah. Especially when you look at the North African countries, they have that there. In Israel, there is a Black community there. It's mostly Ethiopian Jews. And they're south of Jaffa, which is the support city of Jaffa, like in the Bible, when Jonah had left, when Jesus had gave him the message, Jonah had left. He left out the port of Jaffa before he got swallowed by the whale.
Okay.
It's a beautiful city. It's almost like Jerusalem. I mean, it's still the original structure and everything. And it's like right next to this modern city of Tel Aviv.
Very nice. Right now, is this the area where my guy said Egypt as well?
Yeah, Egypt as well.
Okay. Cool. And as far as these countries, like, what's the difference? Are all of them conservative, or what would be, I guess, the most liberal out of all these?
Morocco, Israel, Jordan, some parts of Egypt, like Tunis, Tunisia. It's a tourist place. It's very metropolitan over there. A lot of tourism from European countries go to Tunisia for holiday and stuff like that. So that's a really big tourist place over there. Actually, when one of the big attractions over there was because the original Star Wars was filmed in Tunisia. The place Tatooine actually exists. It's in southern section of Tunisia. But the problem is right now, due to the situation, Tunisia is right next door to Libya. Due to the civil war and stuff like that, things going on, it's not safe to go down there. Plus, ISIS had a field day down there, destroyed a lot of the stuff in the sets that were still there, because it was after they would leave and stuff, they leave the set up there, and it became a tourist attraction. But ISIS did some damage, and it's not really safe to go down in that southern area because of the conflict that's going on in Libya.
Okay. Now, real quick before I ask my next question, which countries again? Can you give me a rundown of what's considered to be the Middle East? Because did we say is Iraq and Afghanistan and all that?
It's going to be Morocco, Algeria, Turkey, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Israel, including the Palestine section, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all those Gulf countries on the Gulf of Oman, which is Abu Dhabi, Oman, all those countries, and Iran.
Okay.
No, not Iran. Excuse me, Iraq. It's the borderline for the Middle East is the Iraqi-Iran border. Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan are not the Middle East.
Okay.
That is Southeast Asia.
Say that last part one more time. You said Iran. What now?
Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, and those countries that's within that little region, they are not the Middle East. That's Southeast Asia.
Okay. I did not know that, man. That's good information. And out of those pocket of Middle Eastern countries, which one is the most safest for guys to travel to, and which is the no-go zones? Like, don't go there, even though you advise not to go there.
Safest would definitely be Morocco, Israel, Jordan. Everybody's gonna have their little bad areas, but in the overall sense, actually in the overall sense, most of them are cool. I would stay out of Algeria because that's a little hostile over there. Libya, definitely. Yemen, don't go there. Lebanon right now has a civil war, but you can still go over there, but trying to get money exchanged because there's a big financial crisis over there. I wouldn't go to Lebanon, not yet. You can still do it, but I wait till it gets a lot better. Syria, obviously, don't. That's a definite no-go. Strangely enough, Iraq is starting to become a little bit more of a touristy area.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen some travel vloggers travel to Iraq. What else? Definitely the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, everything except for Yemen. Stay away from Yemen. But the other one like Dubai and all that stuff, yeah, they're great to go. You're good to go down there.
Okay, and give us a little bit of your background. I don't know how detailed you want to be, but you was kind of in like intelligence or something like that out there.
Yeah.
I think you froze up a little bit.
Military intelligence. Oh, I was military intelligence in the Army, and when I got out, I went to Tel Aviv to get my bachelor's degree in Middle Eastern Studies, and I just completed my master's in intelligence studies, focusing on terrorism. Because a lot of people, even though you don't hear it, it's still going on, and that's something you guys got to be aware of, especially if you're messing around the Middle East. Right now, I was gonna plan to do a side trip to Israel, but there's some things going on in Israel that I'm like, okay, let me just wait. A lot of terrorist attacks happening in Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv, they usually, when I was there, they had that like on lock, literally on lock. But they had, I think it was last year, somebody from Hamas went down to one of the areas down there. It's called Dizengoff Street.
Mm-hmm.
Very well area, a lot of side cafes and stuff like that. Dude whipped out a 9mm and started shooting at this one restaurant, killed 3 people.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And in these countries, is there any countries in particular that don't like Americans? Like it's like, you know, you will be a target as soon as you enter.
None that I can actually think. Algeria, basically. I would just say stay out of Algeria, Libya, and Yemen. Just to play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just off the top of my head. Jordan is very friendly. Very, very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Those dudes are just like, that's why I'm going over there, because I didn't stay long enough. The last time I was there, the hospitality was just off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
And plus their king is a straight warrior king. He's a real warrior king. He is still part of the special operations force. King Abdullah is that's a real leader. Might disagree with his politics, but that, matter of fact, on YouTube, there's a YouTube video floating around of him and his son, the crown prince, running tactical drills in the desert. And it was just like, whoa, who is this dude? That's the king of Jordan.
Wow.
I mean, this dude is amazing. This is a dude I would like, if I was to go into a building and into a firefight, I would like to have him and his son with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, what's the general cost of living, you know, in these countries? Is it expensive for us, or is it cheap? Is our exchange rate good? Or
well, let me talk about Israel, because that's where I'm mostly familiar with. Israel, the exchange rate is, I just checked today, is 3.5 shekels to $1. So that's really good. That's really good over there. Sometimes it will fluctuate all the way. I've seen it as high as 3.8. Cost of living is in Tel Aviv, it's the most expensive city, but here's the thing, you're not going to get the bang for the buck. That's the only thing. You're not getting the bang for the buck. I mean, it's just very, you're definitely going to lose out on some luxuries.
Okay.
I mean, I've moved one of my classmates into his new place. It was basically a bedroom, a small little kitchenette area, which had no appliance, and a small little area that could have been like a little chill room. And he said he's paying like literally like $1,300. And it was like $1,300 for what? It was like literally 3 boxes. And they didn't even give him no appliance. And it's like, nah, this is ridiculous. And part of the reason is because they're overtaxed. Yeah. One example is, one of my favorite places is down by the beach next to the U.S. Embassy. It's called Mike's Place. And Mike's Place has a very great history. There's a comic book, actually, you can get on Amazon, and it talks about the suicide bombing attack that happened during the Second Intifada at that restaurant. And boy, they got some good food over there. But I talked to the owner, and he said, I can't even open up a third Mike's Place because they overtax me. There's a sign tax. There's a tax for this. It's a tax for that. They want to put the guard tax back in, and I don't need no guards. You know, so it's very, very overly taxed, and a lot of their spending is mostly towards defense.
Okay. I want to give a shout out to my guy Eric Powell. Appreciate that $5 super chat. He says, I heard Morocco is popping for the bros. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I had a classmate. She's Moroccan, very beautiful. And that's why that's another place I want to hit is Morocco. But yeah, he's pretty much on the point. I don't know it too much, but Morocco is good, but you just got to watch yourself, especially down in Marrakesh. Just make sure you hold on to your items, because they will snatch. And those also have some pocket money, because take a picture with somebody, they want you to tip them.
Okay, that's some good information. Before we get into, go ahead.
as opposed
No,
to
I was gonna
Jordan.
say. Mhm.
Jordan, they'll give you free food. Literally, they're so
Oh
nice.
wow, okay, that's nice. All right, that's what's up, man. So we want to talk about overseas contracts, and you say you're familiar with that. I know I see
Mhm.
here guys all the time with CDLs or other type of trades. They'll go to the Middle East and they'll make $100,000 in I think like maybe 12 months, all tax
Mhm.
free. How do
Yeah.
guys do that? What do you suggest for them to get in that position to go over there and work overseas in the Middle East?
Right now, there's the various contracting companies out there. Constellus is one of them. They just got some
Mhm.
guard positions pop up. In Kuwait, it's like $95,000 tax free. Now, keep something in mind, everybody. The first $103,000 you make is tax free. Anything over that, you have to pay taxes on.
Mhm.
So if you can, it's a lot of trade out there. You can be a truck driver, you can be a guard at a gate. I know there's some positions down in Israel. They don't pay as high. I think they may be up. I got to call the guy. I got to talk to him about that contract. The last I checked was 50,000, but 50,000 in Israel is just you're living king, literally.
Mhm.
Because you'll because like I said, $1 US dollar to 3.5 shekels is pretty darn good. A lot of them. Then you have the ones in Iraq where
Mhm.
that's going to be a little bit more because they're going to throw in a little bit more pay for that one. So when you're in a hostile zone, they tend to bump it up a little bit more. Others places like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, it may be high, but not some places are going to be higher than others.
Okay, and how hostile is this environment? How dangerous is it? Let's just give an example of a truck driver because I know they drive in caravans, and I actually had a friend of mine that they were over there. I forgot what country, man. I want to say it was Iraq or something, and they were driving caravans, and one of the trucks drove over a landmine and killed the guy. So how dangerous is it? Yeah,
It's going to depend on the country. Iraq, we're still dealing with ISIS elements, so that's going to be pretty dangerous. Who else? Right now, for the most part, everything is pretty chill. Right now with terrorism, they're still out there, but some of them are even going into the cyber world, doing cyber attacks on countries and stuff. I just heard from the local news that they had arrested two Palestinians who were planning to take down the network next time Hamas had attacked Israel. Because down in and let me get on that one. Israel is generally, in the most part, safe, except when they get into some tiff with Hamas, who is the governing body of the not West Bank, the Gaza Strip. The last battle they had, Hamas really stepped up, showed some really resilient effort and stuff. Didn't lost, but they were pretty resilient in that battle because they created some damage. But that's basically the only thing really you have to worry about in Israel. Pretty much the Israelis and the Palestinians, for the most part, get along. But there's, like I said, it's that history of that. That's when you start getting into the religious portion of it, the geopolitics and stuff like that. But I've been to that picture that you posted as the thumbnail. That was me at the Damascus Gate of Old City of Jerusalem. 10 meters behind me, if I was to walk 10 meters behind me across the street, I would be in the West Bank. Where it was another area that's contention. But this portion of the West Bank, that's like East Jerusalem, you really don't get any issues and stuff like that because that's where you got some of the hotels and some of the tourism over there, and they don't mess with you. Other places, different story. I wouldn't be wearing that hat going. They said you're going to Ramallah, and it was like, yeah, I'm going to Ramallah. I said, get rid of the hat.
Mm-hmm. Why
Yeah.
so?
That's when you start getting into more of the more of the terrorist groups down there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because everybody think the West Bank is poor. They got a KFC, they got a Pizza Hut, they got all that stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just really got to know how to move in the Middle East. In Israel, generally, you're pretty much safe for the most part. The housing, like if they have another missile strike or something like that, the buildings are designed where there's one room on each floor as the designated bomb shelter. And the person who's living in that apartment is mandated to take his neighbors and put them in that bomb shelter if they're attacked. There are
Okay.
other bomb shelters. Even a lot of the businesses that used to be old bomb shelters. Like there was a CrossFit gym I trained at. It was actually an old bomb shelter.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, is it safe for guys to seek these overseas contracts? Is it safe? Is it worth the money? Okay.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, a lot of guys don't stay in it for the rest of their lives. They'll do about anywhere from one contract, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. I met a guy. He was there for when I was in Iraq. He was there for 5 years. He had his house paid off, car paid off, boat paid off. He said, "This is just I'm just stacking money right now."
And you know what? It's funny you say that because I was mentioning a friend of mine that went overseas to drive trucks, right? And he said that the whole time he was overseas, his wife was mad at him. But he said he went through he went through some type of midlife crisis and he wanted to do something different because he had been driving trucks for so long. So he said, "Hey, I'm going to go over here and make this money. It's tax free. I'm going to send the money back home." He said he gets back. I think he was out there for like 2 years. He said he goes back home and he sees marble floors. You know what I'm saying? He sees all these new renovations in his home. He's asking his wife, he's like, "How much you pay for all this?" Like all the money he sent, because she was upset, she spent. Right? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, she knew her husband, she knew he was out there doing his thing because if I'm not mistaken, they had either was it Filipino women or they had women at the base or something like that he was at, and he was messing around with them and somehow his wife found out and all that good stuff. So I know exactly what you're saying, but make sure when you send that money back, fellas, make sure you're on good terms with your wife. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I knew a lot of soldiers when we were deployed. Their wife was just spending that hazardous duty pay, and because we got so much extra pay in our salary, hazard duty pay, jump pay, all types of other pay and stuff like that. And the wives back home, they weren't cooking at all. They were ordering out every night, buying.
That's exactly what he said. That's what exactly he said. He said she was ordering food every day.
You gotta be kidding me. I come back here broke. I went over there to make money, and I went over there just spending it up.
Right. Yeah.
But the key thing about it is if you're going to go anywhere, you have to get yourself one of those contracting gigs because, like we discussed before with Andre, you need to make the US dollars to do well. Because if you go, no matter what country, let's take Colombia, for example. You go to Colombia and you get yourself one of those remote jobs over there, you got to keep something in mind. You're making local economy money. You're better off getting a skill or whatever skills you have, truck driver, cybersecurity, being a guard, and make the US dollars because it'll stretch a lot further than being, in the local money.
Okay. And these contracted jobs is your is where you live, is that paid for or does that come out your pay?
Oh, the facility they'll provide, depending on the situation, they'll provide the facilities that you guys can stay in. I know the Kuwait gig, housing is provided. So I think that Kuwait gig from Constellus, I just learned was about $95,000, and they got a bus that'll take you to your living quarters and stuff like that. So you don't pay for anything over there.
Okay, do they give you some type of per diem for food, or that comes out of your pay?
I'm not sure. I have to double check that.
Okay. And can you mention that website one more time for the guys?
it's Constellus, but there's a whole bunch of other places that has overseas contracts. It's all depending on your skill set. There's khaki. There's who's the other one? Oh shoot, so many of them. Leidos is another one. They may have some overseas contracts. Basically, if you do a Google search of American companies with overseas contracts, you'll get a bunch of those, and you can start picking it from them. And a lot of them, you know, you may go through a security background check, depending on the position you're applying for. So, you know, it's not going to be instantaneously. It's going to take a couple of months before they ship you out. Also, with that being said, make sure your BMI, it's below 30%. In other words, you know, the BMI scale that, you know, you step on, you know, it's basically to show how much overweight you are and stuff like that. Make sure you're in shape, because some places you're going to have to go through Fort Bliss to go through a process, and you have to be at a certain body mass index. Okay. Yeah, that's what BMI stands for, body mass index.
Okay, and as far as the contracts, let's just say, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here. Say a guy gets out there and he like, you know what, this is not for me. I want to go home. I want to get out. Does he still get paid for the time, or is it like a quarterly type of contract where they pay?
He's going to get paid for. Yeah, he's going to get paid for his time while he's there, and this is not nothing new, because it's happened in the past. Also, with those contracts, it's not just Middle East. They also have contracts in Singapore. They have contracts in Colombia. Yeah, I've seen a lot of what we call shooter positions, guys with the guns, in Colombia, down in the Bogota area. Their contracts.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's contracts in Singapore, mostly with cyber, dealing with cybersecurity. That's why I tell you guys, get that cybersecurity cert, get your certifications, because that will extend to places you want to go. If, you know, guys want to go to Thailand, well, I can't get you to Thailand. I can get you to Singapore. You know, you're a little closer. All right. Guys going to Colombia, guys going to Mexico. There's a lot of those type of jobs available with these contracts, not just the Middle East. A lot's going to probably be like Middle East, but there are contracts that's in those countries as well. Colombia, Mexico, the Philippines, no, excuse me, Singapore, Taiwan. I think there's one in Taiwan. I'm not sure. Yeah, Taiwan. And, you know, a lot of them, those particular ones are dealing with a lot of cybersecurity. There's this one TikToker. She's out of Atlanta, but she showed her pay with how much she made for a Taiwan gig. It was like $195,000.
Wow, almost $200,000.
Yeah, almost 200K.
Wow, that's amazing. What would you say the top skills were that guys need to have some of these contractor positions? I know you mentioned truck drivers. You said something about shooters. Would they have to have like some type of military or police background to do that?
Either military, police background, or I'm not sure about security, unless you've done security overseas. When I talk about shooters, I'm usually talking about what we call personal security specialists. What they are basically the bodyguards. To give you an example, what's a good example? What's that movie? 13 Hours. The movie 13 Hours about the Benghazi thing. They pretty much like that. They're the ones that play bodyguard, and you know, they was bodyguards for the CIA ops that was running sources. They go with them on their source meets and stuff like that. These guys basically, they're protecting. They mostly happen with the State Department, so they're mostly traveling with State Department representatives that's in Iraq. They're their bodyguards. The company will provide training for them, but you just got to have a military and law enforcement background, preferably military, because if you've been deployed, it shows that you can handle it being out there. So,
okay. I want to give a shout out to my dude, It's Dre the Kid, in the building. He's a vet as well. He said 335 days abroad is tax free. That is true. I got my dude Xavier Lancaster in the building as well. You had some couple of exchanges with him. He says, "What's good, Dre?" Oh, he's speaking to the other Dre. Okay, yeah, man. So let's talk about we talked about money, cost of living. Let's talk about some of the social aspects of just the Middle East overall, as far as if guys want to date, what country, and how you go about trying to date some of the women out there in some of these Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah. Again, all I can speak for is Israel, because that's when I was a civilian over there. Mm-hmm. Dating, unfortunately, with Israel, if you're not part of that clique or being Jewish or something like that, it's really kind of hard because you have to look at that whole environment in Israel. It's always been in conflict. It's always been in battle from the time of the fall of the Ottoman Empire is when it started, because when the League of Nations came in, they opened up for Jews from the European Jews to come over. That's where the beginning of that started, because those were the bourgeoisies, as we call bougie, came down there. You know what people with a bougie attitude is going to be. So that's where the conflict originated from after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Dating, for some, it can happen. For others, it can't. And I got to reference the video you put out this week with the passport dating coaches.
Oh, yeah. My roast.
Yeah, I got to reference that, because here's the thing. And I'm going to tell your audience this. Don't listen to dating coaches, because you have to understand something. This is about culture. All right. Because if you're not familiar with that culture, you're going to run into some issues. I know for a fact, with everybody seeing how these guys play game in the clubs and stuff with these women, they're pretty aggressive. All right. For the most part. Play that in Israel. They may perceive that as sexual harassment, which is a crime. That is an arrestable crime. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Thailand just put that new law in there for sexual harassment. I'm not sure.
They got it in Thailand, and they have a law like that similar in Cambodia. That's why I be trying to tell these guys. I'm like, bro, this is not America. You don't want to sit there and be trying to have these women on video like that, because they have this law in Cambodia where it's like they feel like you violate the sanctity of their women by trying to put them out there like that. So they actually arrest people. They arrested some Chinese guys for doing a quote unquote commercial where they felt like they disrespected the women. So you got to be very careful in these countries. And I try to tell guys like that, like, bro, you're not in America. Before you go around prancing around saying, giving guys backstories on how you met her and did all this, just be careful, man, because people are watching. You feel me? And it's a different beast out here.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I say don't listen to these dating coaches, because they're not taking in consideration culture, the political atmosphere. Because I know Israel is, well, now they got Netanyahu back in. They just voted him back in. So he's running the country and his party. So you got far right politically and far left socially. And they tend to collide a lot. So you don't know what the mentality is of some of these women, that's like that. Their dudes, the guys down there is not as masculine as like we are here. Even though they've been in the IDF, they've been in the Israeli Defense Force. Some of them try to get out of it because they don't want to do it. But you really, really got to be careful with dating, especially when you're dealing with religious. Even with the Palestinians, you have the religious women and you have the secular women. Those that will go on the beach wearing a burqa and all that stuff, and the other ones that are out there in booty shorts. Yeah. So you really got to be careful with this whole game thing, because it can be offensive. And if you're pushing yourself onto these women, you might have some problems with groups like Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Al-Qaeda, all that stuff. So when I was over there, I'm just here from my degree. Let me just focus on that. I'll socialize with them, but that's it.
Okay, and does that go for the I guess you want to say the melanated Afro people as well? Is it the same? Do the same rules apply?
Morocco may be different,
Mm-hmm.
because you have that European and possibly Tunisia because of that
Mm-hmm.
tourism that comes from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but still, you got to walk on eggshells when it comes to dating because you don't know. I'll give you an example. I usually wait for like you talked about in Colombia. If a girl comes up to you, that's a red flag. It's kind of the opposite for me because when I was in Israel, I had this girl, gorgeous. Oh my gosh, she was such a sweetheart. She, she would, I got to know her, and when she see me in the hallway, she would come up and give me a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful Palestinian girl. She even invited me to go hang out for her place for the weekend because they're very friendly like that. If they like you, they
Mm-hmm.
bring you into that clique.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand that that wasn't about trying to get, some play or anything like that. That's just their nature. They're very friendly. I had another friend of mine, I went to visit her and she just kind of felt like, well, you want something to eat? And I was like, no. Are you sure you don't want anything to eat? She kept harassing me like to go eat and go eat. And I was like, I'm not hungry or anything like that. Then she brought out like a plate of cheese or something like that. And it's like, what? Come on, girl. It's like, because in her nature, this is how we have to treat our men. We have to be, give you food, when you come visit, that's just the way she was brought up. That's that whole submissiveness that everybody say is voodoo. I mean, you'll have it in the Middle East, but it all depends. But overall, it's just like I said, you just gotta. It depends on the country, the atmosphere, and stuff like that. Could I have dated? Yeah, I could have dated, but I didn't want to go try to step on people's toes, anything like that. So you have to be very careful, especially in the Middle East.
Mm.
And
Okay.
Tel Aviv is a fun city. It really is. It's a really cool city.
Mm-hmm. So let's say if guys wanted to, go out there and just, participate in, tourism and everything, what country would you recommend?
I would recommend Jordan, Israel, Tunisia.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you stay near Tunis, you're fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Morocco, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Oman, Istanbul, Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, and Egypt. But you be a little careful in Egypt because occasionally they'll have some flare-ups with some terrorism over there. But mostly you're okay in Egypt.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, we've been in here for a little minute. I don't want to hold Global Passport Crew for too much longer. It's been a great, very good informational show, man. I was interested in learning more about the Middle East because we just don't hear from what we see, on the news. It's something that's always kind of like chaotic is what the media will portray about the Middle East in general. So most people don't want to go out there. I mean, Egypt, you hear a little bit about Morocco, but for the most part, we really don't know too much information. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and just giving us, how to move around the Middle East, bro. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and like I said, you just like I have a video on my YouTube website, Global Passport Crew, on crime and terrorism. Just look at that. I drill down some tips on how to protect yourself, how to prevent yourself from being targeted or anything like that. Some precautions like the State Department has something called the STEP program. Basically, you just register with them and let them know where you're going to be at so they can keep tabs on where you're at. There's just some great opportunities, out there for you guys to go get jobs, go do it. Just put your head on a swivel. Be what we call the gray man. The gray man is just a neutral guy. He's neutral. He's not seen. He's not flashy. He's not loud. He's just that. And that's also if you're going to Colombia, down in Medellin, you be the gray guy, because if you start being flashy and stuff like that, people notice you, and that can be a problem.
Facts, man. I be trying to tell these guys, and some of them, most pay attention. They say, you know what, I'm a rock like that since I'm not familiar with that area or that country. But most guys get out there and they just go right into American Miami mode, not realizing how dangerous that is.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and you guys got to understand something. All these dating coaches, and again, referring back to that video you put out, these dating coaches, they're not taking things in consideration. Listen to the X-Packs, listen to BMT Travels, look into Andre over at Love Crossing Borders, listen to Richie Mack, the rest of the Thailand crew. Where's Wes? He's another YouTuber I listen to. He throw down some stuff about Colombia and stuff like that. He just got married recently. Life with David, he's another one I listen to. They throw down this information. These are the people you need to listen to. Don't listen to these dating coaches. They're just going to get you hurt. They're going to get you hurt.
Facts. Going over there trying to bring American culture overseas is a definite no, and it can be dangerous. I'm gonna catch a super chat before we go. Shout out to Physical Poetry with a $9.99 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. He says, having gone to all the Gulf countries, I can tell you there are great opportunities for great women available to date, but they require patience, respect, and no game. What would you say to that?
And he is not lying. He is not lying at all. You gotta be patient. You can't, and especially keep something in mind with Middle Eastern women. Sex before marriage, maybe with the Israeli chicks, but when you're talking Arab women, no,
not happening.
No, not happening.
Okay,
secular or religious, not happening.
All right. Well, man, once again, appreciate you coming on the show. Salute, bro. Peace.
Salute.